Hi everyone, welcome to InfosecTrain. The second part of the video on how to start a career in cloud computing. So the common question, one very important question which we get from the candidates is that team. Whenever we basically, if a person want to learn cloud computing or if a person want to learn or start their career in cloud, or which cloud service provider is the best to start with. Like in fact in the market there is a lot of cloud providers. We have more than 100 providers in the market commonly, but out of that team, like the top providers like AWS, Azure, GCP, Alibaba, there is a lot of providers like that. But which one to choose, or which cloud service provider we have to learn if you want to start a career in cloud computing? That is one question which I'm getting. The second common question which I get is that team, once we learn one cloud platform, so what if my company is going for multiple cloud platforms, or what if my company is going for or in future they are migrating to some other cloud platforms? So my answer for that is, team, when you start a cloud computing career, you can start with any cloud platform. You can start with either AWS or Azure or GCP or maybe other cloud providers also, because at the end of the day all these providers are offering almost very similar kind of services. But the difference is that like it can vary, like maybe if you're in a particular country or a particular location, there can be slight changes regarding the utilization of cloud services. But almost every cloud service providers or almost every top cloud service providers are now in demand in or across the globe. So like for example, if you just want to learn the fundamentals of cloud computing first and then you want to continue your journey further, then if in AWS you can go for something called as AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. Or if you're planning to learn Azure, you can learn with the AZ900 Azure Cloud Fundamentals. So this gives you with a very high level overview of the cloud computing and the common understanding of the basic services offered by the cloud service provider. So it is not a very critical thing or very panicking thing that you have to specifically start with one particular cloud service provider or you have to only go for that provider. But I will give you a very simple way of doing it, team. So you can choose either one provider, like maybe AWS or Azure. You can choose a specific provider first of all, and you can start learning the career path based on them. That we will have a separate video for that, which is the career path and what certification to choose in each cloud provider. But anyways, you start with one cloud service provider, you master that cloud services. Let's suppose that you want to be a cloud security expert. So in AWS, you can learn the AWS Certified Solutions Architect, then you can learn the AWS Certified Security Specialty and all these things. Okay. But at the same time, once you learn all these things, if you spend a few more days, like for example, if you can spend a week or two, you definitely will be able to compare whatever you have learned in AWS to that services in Azure. Also, like for example, if you're learning something called as a AZ500, or maybe if you're learning something called as AZ104 kind of Azure certifications, like it's a very good thing to start for sure. So once you start that, then obviously after that, if you want to learn AWS, you can spend a few weeks, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks you can spend, and you can compare the common services, you can learn the other cloud platforms. So it won't be a challenge for you. So even though if you learn AWS and Azure, what if tomorrow your company is going for some other cloud providers? So it can happen. So the primary thing is that you start learning at least one cloud platform, but that is not something which is, you have to always say that it must be AWS or it must be Azure or GCP. You can choose anything as per your requirements. But again, if you're already having some previous experience, and we can customize it, or we can basically choose based on that also. For example, let's say you are a person who is working for a long time in Microsoft technologies, Microsoft Active Directory, Windows Server Administration, the Office 365 and all these kind of things, then Azure is a good place you can start with, because it is more biased to what you have working in the previous mechanism. Okay, that's it. So that's the way we have to choose the cloud platforms. So see, I have seen that many people say that, okay, we have to actually go to AWS first or Azure first or Google first. It's not like that. You can go for any cloud platforms. It's completely fine. So all you have to do is that you don't learn for the certification. Like when you basically, let's suppose that you go for a training from someone, and when you basically go for the training, you don't just think about the certification. The primary priority or the primary goal you must have is that choose or learning the actual hands-on use cases, understanding the services in depth, plus understanding the practical use cases of that particular cloud provider services. Okay, and if you can learn in that way, obviously in future, like the cloud service providers will change a lot of things. The cloud service provider will automatically add new services. They will modify the existing services, so you'll be able to very easily copy to the changes. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is that when you choose a cloud provider, Certification is definitely a good thing to start with, but again, as I said before, try to do a maximum hands-on use cases so that it gives a lot of understanding of your perspective, like a lot of understanding of how it works in the real time. Okay, that's it. So don't worry about choosing the cloud service provider team for your learning path. You can choose any cloud service provider, but only thing is that you must master that cloud service provider as per the kind of job role you're expecting in cloud computing. Then spend some few days and to get some trainings, or maybe do a self-learn and learn the other cloud service providers by yourself. And if you have some queries on this team, you can just put it in the chat box below and I'll be answering your queries. So in the next video, we'll be discussing about what are the common certifications which we have in AWS, or maybe what are the career paths we have, and for each career path, what we have to choose, or what kind of certification we have to choose, and what are additional skills you need for each job role. Okay. Thank you so much, team. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.